Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you for a minute, because January ain't just the start of a new year. January is a declaration. It's the moment where life hands you a clean page and says, now what you going to write on it? See, everybody want to talk about new goals, new plans, new dreams, but very few people talk about new habits. And habits, habits are what run your life when motivation gets tired. January ain't just another month on the calendar. It's a mindset reset. And if you don't understand that, you will treat it like every other month and get the same results you always get. See, January is different because mentally, emotionally, spiritually, people are more open in January than any other time of the year. Your mind is listening in January. Your heart is paying attention in January. Your habits are negotiable in January. That's why this month is dangerous if you waste it, and powerful if you respect it. Life gives you a rare psychological opening and says, right now, you can choose again. Most people think January is about motivation, but motivation fades. January is about identity. It's about deciding who you are going to be before the world starts pulling at you again. Before responsibilities pile up, before distractions get loud, before excuses get comfortable, January quietly asks you a question: who are you becoming? And the scary part is, whatever answer you give through your actions, life accepts it as truth. See, a reset doesn't mean you suddenly become perfect. A reset means you stop lying to yourself. You stop pretending you don't know what needs to change. January exposes patterns. It shows you where you've been inconsistent, where you've been lazy, where you've been afraid. And instead of beating yourself up, January gives you permission to start fresh without explanation. You don't owe anybody a reason for growth. People fail January because they rush it. They make loud promises instead of quiet commitments. But real change doesn't announce itself. Real change wakes up early. Real change cleans up its thoughts. Real change says no to things that feel good but lead nowhere. And January is when that discipline is easiest to install, because your mind hasn't fully settled back into old habits yet. January is a training ground. Whatever you repeatedly do in this month becomes the default setting for your year. If you wake up late in January, your year learns laziness. If you procrastinate in January, your year learns delay. But if you show up focused in January, if you protect your time in January, if you take responsibility in January, your year learns excellence. Most people underestimate how powerful small decisions are when they're made early. January decisions echo. They don't scream, they whisper, but they last. One early morning in January turns into discipline in July. One hard choice in January turns into confidence in October. You don't see the reward immediately, but it's being built quietly. And here's the truth nobody likes to hear. January reveals priorities. Not what you say matters, but what you do when nobody's watching. If you say you want change, but you keep doing the same things in January, you're lying to yourself, and life will hold you accountable for that lie. January doesn't demand perfection. It demands intention. It asks you to move with purpose instead of habit, to think before reacting, to choose growth over comfort. And if you respect January, if you treat it like the reset it truly is, it will reward you with momentum. And momentum, once it starts, is hard to stop. What you wash your hands with is really about what you allow to stay on you. And most people don't realize how much invisible dirt they carry through life. I'm not talking about something you can see. I'm talking about attitudes, emotions, habits, and influences that cling to you every single day. You touch situations with them. You touch people with them. You touch opportunities with them. And then you wonder why things keep getting messy. It's because you never cleaned what you were working with. Every day, life puts something on your hands. Stress gets on your hands. Disappointment gets on your hands. Other people's opinions get on your hands. Old failures get on your hands. And if you don't intentionally wash that stuff off, you start spreading it everywhere you go. You bring yesterday's frustration into today's opportunity. You bring old pain into new relationships. You bring fear into places that require courage, and none of that happens because you're a bad person. It happens because you didn't clean your hands before you touched something important. Most people are walking around with contaminated habits. They wake up and the first thing they grab is their phone, filling their minds with comparison and negativity. They start conversations already irritated. They make decisions already tired. That's dirty hands. And you can't expect clean results when your routine is contaminated. You can't expect peace when your mind is cluttered. You can't expect progress when your habits are polluted. Washing your hands means you become intentional about what you remove. You stop letting negativity sit on you all day. You stop carrying conversations that drain you. You stop entertaining thoughts that weaken you. Washing your hands is mental discipline. It's emotional hygiene. It's spiritual awareness. It's deciding that before you step into your day, you will cleanse your mindset. January is powerful because it gives you space to install this practice early. When you clean your habits at the beginning, they don't have time to harden. Dirt that sits too long becomes a stain. Thoughts you entertain too long become beliefs. Behaviors you repeat too long become identity. Washing your hands early prevents long-term damage. People think success is about adding more, but sometimes it's about removing what doesn't belong, removing distractions, removing excuses, removing people who constantly bring dirt into your life. Because every time you let them touch you, you have to clean again. And some people refuse to clean because they don't want to let go of what's making them dirty. Clean hands move differently. Clean hands make better decisions. Clean hands build healthier relationships. Clean hands attract better opportunities because they're not weighed down by old mess. When your habits are clean, your confidence increases. When your mindset is clean, your vision sharpens. You don't react the same way. You don't tolerate the same nonsense. You don't settle the same way. Washing your hands daily isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It's consistent. It's choosing discipline over comfort, clarity over chaos, and growth over familiarity. And when you make that choice, life responds, because life always responds to what you repeatedly do. Small daily habits don't look powerful in the moment, and that's why most people ignore them. Everybody wants a big breakthrough, a major opportunity, a dramatic change, but life doesn't work like that. Life moves in inches, not leaps. It moves in routines, not speeches. And the truth is, what you do consistently when nobody's watching is what builds the life everybody else ends up watching. People overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. One good habit doesn't feel like it matters. One early morning doesn't feel life-changing. One disciplined decision doesn't feel heroic. But stack those moments up day after day, week after week, month after month, and suddenly you've built something that looks like magic to people who weren't paying attention. Habits are sneaky. Bad ones destroy quietly, and good ones build quietly. You don't feel yourself getting weaker when you skip discipline. You just feel comfortable. You don't notice yourself falling behind when you procrastinate. You just feel relieved. Comfort lies to you. It makes you feel safe while it slowly steals your future. And by the time you realize it, years have passed and you're asking how you got here. Good habits don't shout either. They whisper. They show up early. They repeat themselves. They don't need applause. Waking up early to work on yourself doesn't feel exciting. Choosing to be consistent instead of emotional doesn't feel rewarding at first. Saying no to distractions doesn't feel fun. But those boring decisions are building a foundation strong enough to carry your dreams. Most people wait for motivation to start habits, but motivation is unreliable. It shows up when it feels like it and disappears when things get hard. Habits don't ask how you feel. They move even when you're tired. They move even when you're unsure. That's why disciplined people go further than talented people. Talent needs feelings. Discipline needs commitment. Every habit is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you choose discipline, you cast a vote for your future self. Every time you choose comfort, you cast a vote for staying the same. And no single vote decides the election, but over time, the outcome becomes undeniable. People think their life changes when circumstances change, but life really changes when habits change. When you change what you do daily, you change what you tolerate. You change how you think. You change what you expect from yourself. And once your standards rise, your results have no choice but to follow. Small habits protect you from regret. They protect you from looking back and wishing you had started sooner. They create momentum, and momentum creates confidence. When you see yourself showing up consistently, you start trusting yourself. And self-trust is powerful. It changes how you walk into rooms, how you speak, how you make decisions. The problem isn't that people don't know what to do. The problem is they don't do it long enough. They quit before the habit has time to compound. But habits, once they compound, create results that feel unfair to people who weren't consistent. And that's not luck. That's the long-term reward of small daily discipline. Discipline will take you places motivation never can, because motivation depends on how you feel and discipline depends on who you decide to be. Feelings change every day. Energy goes up and down. Life gets heavy. If your progress is tied to motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. But discipline doesn't ask for excitement. Discipline shows up even when you don't want to, and that's why discipline quietly builds the life most people only talk about. Motivation is emotional. It shows up when things are going well and disappears when resistance shows up. Discipline is logical. It says, this needs to be done, so I'm doing it. That difference changes everything. When you rely on motivation, you negotiate with yourself, you make excuses, you push things to tomorrow. But discipline removes the conversation. It becomes automatic, and when something is automatic, it gets done. Most people fail not because they aren't capable, but because they are inconsistent. They start strong and fade fast. They wait to feel inspired again instead of committing to the process. Discipline removes the roller coaster. It creates stability, and stability is what allows growth to happen over time. Discipline also protects you from your worst impulses. It keeps you from reacting emotionally. It stops you from quitting when things get uncomfortable. It forces you to stay in the room long enough to learn, and growth requires discomfort. There is no development without resistance. Discipline keeps you engaged when your ego wants to escape. People think discipline is restrictive, but discipline is actually freedom. When your habits are disciplined, your mind is calm. You don't waste energy deciding what to do next. You don't feel guilty about what you didn't do. You move with clarity. That clarity frees up mental space for creativity, confidence, and focus. Discipline builds self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you quit on yourself, your trust in yourself weakens. Over time, that adds up. Disciplined people walk differently. They speak differently. They don't need to announce who they are because their actions already did. The hardest part about discipline is the beginning. At first, it feels unnatural. It feels forced. It feels lonely because not everyone around you is willing to do the work. But discipline eventually becomes comfort. What once felt hard becomes normal, and what once felt impossible becomes expected. Discipline also sets boundaries. It teaches you when to say no to distractions, no to people who drain you, no to habits that don't serve you, and every no you say to the wrong thing becomes a yes to the right future. Life doesn't reward intention, it rewards consistency, and discipline is consistency in action. When you develop discipline, you stop depending on luck. You stop waiting on perfect timing. You start creating results on purpose. And once discipline becomes part of who you are, progress stops being optional and starts being inevitable. Protecting your peace is one of the most important investments you will ever make. And most people don't realize how expensive chaos really is until it has already taken too much from them. Peace isn't just about being calm. Peace is about clarity. It's about having the mental space to think, decide, and move without constant emotional interference. When your peace is disturbed, your judgment suffers, your energy drops, and your progress slows down. People lose peace slowly. They don't notice it happening because it comes disguised as tolerance. You tolerate disrespect. You tolerate unnecessary stress. You tolerate conversations that drain you. You tolerate environments that make you anxious. And over time, that tolerance turns into exhaustion. You wake up tired even when you've slept. You feel overwhelmed without knowing why. That's the cost of unprotected peace. Every distraction demands a payment. Every argument takes energy. Every negative relationship consumes focus. And the more of these payments you make, the less you have left for the things that actually matter. Peace is what allows you to direct your energy toward growth instead of survival. Without peace, you're just reacting. And a reactive life is an unfulfilled life. Protecting your peace means setting boundaries, and boundaries make people uncomfortable. Not everyone will like your limits. Some people benefited from your lack of them. But boundaries are not punishments. They are protection. They are you saying, this is where I function best. And when you function at your best, everyone benefits, even if they don't realize it. Peace also requires discernment. You have to know what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Not every opinion matters. Not every battle needs to be fought. Not every explanation needs to be given. Silence is often a form of peace. Walking away is often a form of strength, and choosing not to engage is often the smartest decision you can make. When your peace is protected, your decision-making improves. You think clearly, you respond instead of react. You don't rush choices out of emotion, and that clarity compounds over time. Good decisions lead to better outcomes, and better outcomes reinforce confidence. That's how peace quietly builds success. People often confuse peace with weakness, but peace requires strength. It takes strength to say no. It takes strength to walk away from chaos. It takes strength to choose calm when drama is available. And that strength grows every time you protect yourself from unnecessary noise. Peace also attracts the right opportunities. When your mind is calm, you notice things you would have missed in chaos. You hear ideas clearly. You recognize alignment. Stress narrows your vision. Peace expands it. Investing in peace early saves you years of recovery later. It saves you from burnout, regret, and emotional exhaustion. And once you understand the value of peace, you stop giving it away cheaply. You guard it, respect it, and build your life around it. What you do consistently today is quietly shaping the person you will be decades from now, whether you realize it or not. Life is not changed by one big decision, one emotional moment, or one dramatic breakthrough. Life is changed by repetition, by what you do on ordinary days when nothing special is happening. And that's why consistency is so powerful and so dangerous at the same time, because it works whether you're intentional or not. Most people think the future arrives suddenly, but it doesn't. The future shows up one habit at a time. Every routine you repeat is a message to your future self. Every shortcut you take is a debt you'll have to pay later. Every disciplined choice is an investment that compounds over time. And compound interest works the same way in life as it does in money. Small, steady deposits create massive results if you don't interrupt the process. People underestimate consistency because it doesn't feel urgent. Skipping one workout doesn't feel harmful. Ignoring one opportunity doesn't feel costly. Staying up late one night doesn't feel destructive. But consistency doesn't judge moments, it measures patterns. And